There's a lot of growth that happens that nobody ever sees, that nobody ever knows about. Hey, this is Tracy with Tracy Talks. Welcome. Can you do me a favor? Can you hit the subscribe button? Thanks. There's some days where people will ask, what did I do today? And there's always a hesitation within me. It's like, am I going to be honest or am I not going to be honest? And a lot of times, there are things that I do that are changing me and creating a foundation that I really can't put into words to people. There are times where I will just say, I just did stuff today. And I've been reminded recently why just doing stuff and taking care of myself is important. I live in a very rural area, and when you live in a very rural area, there's always something that is growing, invading, something that needs to be cut down, tended to, maintained. There's a lot of time and energy that's needed to keep property in the state that you want it in. Like, it doesn't just happen. And I've even been in this process of trying to get it back to some sort of state that it hadn't been very well maintained for some time. And there's this land around the house that is a tall grass and it's overgrown and there's weeds in there. And I've been trying to pull the trees that are growing. There's a lot of small little trees, 10 to 12 inches, that are growing up. I don't know if any of you have ever tried to pull out a small tree, but it's very difficult, even when it gets to be a foot tall. Depending on the soil, depending on the type of tree, there is so much root that is already established deep down in the ground that it's very difficult to pull the full root out. Like, you can cut it off and you can break it off, but if you don't get the majority of the root system out, it's going to grow back. And I've been reminded recently that so much of my growth lately has been establishing the foundation and the root system of me. And with the tree, there's a lot of growth that is down in the soil that no one sees, no one knows about, and it's silently happening. And it's only until you try to pull the tree out that you realize how strong that tree already is. And I've had to remind myself that I am doing things that are building my own foundation. I'm finding my own voice. I've been finding my own sense of self. I've been finding my own confidence, and all of these things that nobody sees, that nobody knows about, that's happening behind the scenes, is like me and that little tree that I'm sending all of these roots down into the ground, and they're securing me, and they're creating this foundation from which I can grow. And sometimes it's difficult in life when you're trying to do something that nobody has ever seen done before, and they don't know what you're doing, and they don't know why you're doing it, and they question every single thing that you do. And I do things during the day. I do things where I'm tapping into the energy of my voice, where I am meditating and developing my relationship with my higher self and my intuition. That all of those things don't necessarily mean something to so many people. And I'm sending this out as a gentle reminder to anybody out there who is facing doubters and people who want to criticize. Like, you didn't do anything today. Like, you didn't make anything. You don't have anything to show for today. And how do you show someone that you took a huge step today and you built self-confidence? And there's those days where I can feel the shift inside of me. And it's not that I have done just one thing that day, but I have done things over several weeks. And it's built up to a point where I have more confidence in my skills and my abilities and who I am and what I'm saying. And I just want to send this out there into the collective that there are going to be people that are never going to see, they're never going to know about all of these things that you're doing right now, that you really don't have this way of expressing. How do you build confidence? How does that show up in your everyday life? How do you strengthen your voice? And how do you find the strength and energy and courage to say those words that you need to say to someone else? And I'm just going to be like this little tree out in the middle of the woods growing. And I'm going to remind myself that all of these things that I'm doing, they do matter. They will accumulate into something else. And that I have to just tune out, turn off, push away anybody who wants an explanation of what am I doing, why am I doing it, when is something going to happen with it. And there's times where I've had people like, what did you do today? Some days I just want to be sarcastic and be pointed and direct. Like, I found my courageous voice. I'm walking a path that no one's laid out for me. I've created a journey here that I'm building step by step. There is no plan. There is no guide. I'm waking up every single day. I'm doing a weather report basically for myself. I'm tuning into my body to see where the energy is going. I'm tuning into my higher self to see what is calling to me in that day. Like, I don't show up and have somebody else's agenda on my desk. I don't show up and ask my boss, what am I supposed to be doing today? What are we doing? No. It's not easy to step out on a path that isn't already paved. I'm going to keep showing up for myself. I'm going to keep building a foundation. I'm going to grow stronger. I'm going to become more courageous. I'm going to believe in myself even more every single day. And I have to realize that I am creating a foundation, a structure, a root system that is going to support me no matter what shows up. And people don't see that. They don't see that growth. It happens in the dark. It happens away from everybody else. It happens in the late nights. It happens in the early mornings. It happens in the silence. It happens in the chaos. And then I have these moments where I get especially frustrated when I get asked these questions from people who haven't been very brave or courageous with their life. That they have followed a plan, that they have been afraid to speak up, they've been afraid to walk away, they've been afraid to follow their dreams. And there's times where I get extremely frustrated when I feel a critical eye from people who just haven't been brave. And this is for any of you out there who are still doing the work and are wondering, how am I going to get through this? How is this going to happen? How can I make this happen? And we just keep trying. We just keep putting one foot in front of the other until one day when things click, when things make more sense, when we feel stronger, we feel like we've felt the shift inside of us. And even if your dream doesn't look like what you thought it was going to look like, you're still building and developing your voice, your identity, your sense of self. And those are things that can't be taken away. Courage isn't something that you just lose. Bravery isn't just something that you lose. And a lot of these things are just built up over time when we continually show up for ourselves and we do the work that no one else sees. And let the doubters doubt. Let them have their moment. And just keep walking forward. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tracy Talks. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. Friends can find Tracy Talks available on iTunes, Spotify, Substack, and YouTube. Hit me up on Instagram and Facebook at More Tracy Talks. And until next time, we meet again.